Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. This is Michael Ryer. I'd like to welcome you to our third week and third session of the third week of the In Focus Virtual Safari 2020. Today's presentation is going to be all about VDP, variable data printing, cloud workflow using Switch and HP's PrintOS Composer. This ought to be a very interesting presentation today, and let's get right to it. So first of all, for those of you who have never been to an In Focus Safari before, let's tell you a little bit about the vision. Very simply, it's all about education and giving people in the print community, no matter what job you do in the industry, this is a free event that allows you to come in and learn about a variety of different subjects, all the way from workflow to pre-flight and color and other technologies throughout the industry. We try to really cover a lot of different things, so it's a really great learning experience for just about anyone in the print community. So let's talk about today's presentation and our two presenters. From HP, the Indigo division, we have Guy Beebe. He is the product manager, as well as Aran Sagi. He's a software architect. And I'm your host, Michael Ryer. I'll be monitoring the presentation, trying to make sure nothing goes wrong while we're going through it. And I'll also be fielding questions at the end of the presentation. So if you have any questions they would like to get answered, type them into the questions dialog box, and we'll try to get to those as soon as we can at the end of the presentation. So with that said, I'm going to see where I can find my attendee list here and get it turned over to, I believe, Guy. Is that correct?
Yes. Hi, everybody.
All right.
Let me try and share my screen.
Just a second here. There you go. And we can see great desktop. I can see your screen.
Yeah,
so
it's not the right desktop. So 1 second, I'll transform to another screen. I want you to see this one. This one's better.
Oh, there we go. PrintOS Composer and In Focus Switch app. Gotcha.
Correct.
All yours.
Yes. So as I said, as you kindly said, I am the product manager of the VDP and the creative tools in HP Indigo. And today we're going to speak about our VDP tools, our integration with PrintOS Composer, and how you can automate this entire workflow with In Focus Switch. So my part will be to show you how to create the template, how to create the VDP design that that you're doing with your design tools like Adobe InDesign or Adobe Illustrator, how to pack this into a package, what we call an HPD. It's like a zip file with all the resources, etc. And then I'm gonna pass the torch to Eran, who's gonna show you all around PrintOS Composer, all around the app within Focus Switch, and how to integrate those two together. So I'm starting with like a little bit of background. Like, what are we doing? I mean, why are we doing this to begin with? So I'm starting with this painting. Now, this painting was painted by Edouard Manet in 1882. And it's like 150 years ago. And you can talk a lot about this painting, but I want you to look a little closer and see something very interesting. If you look closely, you'll see two glass bottles that has a label on them and a logo. And if you look even closer, you'll see that both of them are identical, right? It means that if you went to a store like 150 years ago, you had a shelf with bottles. They were all standing in line, all looking the same, quite mundane and boring. However, if you go to the supermarket today, you see the exact same thing. And this is where our VDP tools can help you. Now, we have a VDP tools that can create barcodes and images and text and all of the regular features that VDP can offer, but we have a lot more than that. And when I say a lot, it's a lot more. So first of all, we have the regular personalization, which means that you can take any database, take any design, combine them together and get millions of different variations. Again, you can do this with HP SmartStream Designer, but then if you want to create millions, you need Composer, which is like the server that creates this multi-page PDF. The second thing that we have is we have mass customization. We have tools like HP Mosaic, HP Collage, all of the creative tools that allow you to create unique images, unique products that none of them will look the same. For example, in this campaign, Amagula wanted to emphasize that there are only 400,000 elephants left in the world. So they created 400,000 bottles that each of them is unique. And if you look closely, you'll see that they also gave each elephant a name. And thus came the campaign name, name them and save them. It means that if you name an elephant, you are, you're attached to it on like a personal level. And then every time you buy a bottle, you actually donate money to preserve those elephants. Now, these are just the creative tools. We also have the Indigo capabilities, which is the agility of digital print. It means that you don't need any plates. You can take this press as fast as you want. You can go to market within 24 hours. We have many, many examples that show that. The second thing that we have is, of course, uniqueness. Every second that Picasso moves his arm here, you see a unique piece of art. Some light comes in, some light disappears, and this is exactly what the HP Indigo presses can do. Each page can be different, can be unique. None of it will be the same. All of this will give you a unique fingerprint. And if you remember the beer bottles that we saw in the beginning, there is no reason in the world that they won't look like that they can't look like that. And actually, we're starting to see the transformation. More and more companies are doing such campaigns. Now, as I said, SmartStream Designer is a VDP tool. It's a VDP plugin for both Adobe InDesign and Adobe Illustrator for both Mac and PC. You can download them from the hp.com Go SmartStream Designer. You can play with it for 90 days for free, and I urge you to do it and play with it. Now, as I mentioned earlier as well, we can do easy VDP, all the basic functionality. We can do mosaic, collage, edge printing. Again, many, many things that we won't delve into in this presentation. We have security features. We have the combination or the control of PrintOS Composer, and in PrintOS altogether, you can find many things like knowledge zone. You can find artificial intelligence seed creator, many, many, many things. If I'll go a little deeper about the campaigns that we can do, so we can do mosaic campaigns like this chocolate wrapper that, as you can see, many mosaic seed files, they created 1 million different wrappers that then you can take this wrapper and fold it into an origami cow. Another example that we have is what this is called HP randomizer. So if you take many elements and place them in a fixed position, you can create millions of different characters, such as these. You can also combine both. You can create a mosaic pattern for the background and also randomizer for the characters. So you get something like this. Then if you print something like this and you want to do the boxes, you can do that as well with SmartStream Designer. If you see all the boxes stacked together, give you a unique image. And this is another creative tool called HP Spine Printing. And again, if you are interested, I'd love to answer all of your questions. We have HP Collage, which can take any assortment of elements and spread them around the canvas, like you see these ghosts roaming around here. This campaign has only 3 ghosts. That's it. It's for a designer, it's not more than 5 minutes of work. Another collage campaign is this one. As you can see, the different assortment of these dogs is different, but you can also integrate personalization. So this company urged people to post online excuses to why they can't come to work. And they generated more than 2 million comments from social media, and they printed them on the bottle. Now I'll go into a demo and we'll actually see how it's done live. So I'll go into my Illustrator. In Illustrator, if you're not familiar with the HP tools, you'll find them after installation. You'll find them here in the Workspace tab. You'll see the Designer tools. You can open our tools over here, and I'll show you how it works. So basically, if you just want to create mosaic, it's as simple as 2 clicks. You simply create a frame, an image frame, and it doesn't really matter which format it is. It can be a square, it can be a star, it can be whatever you want, as long as it's a closed shape. And basically what you need to do is to tell designer, hey, I want this to be a mosaic. Now, once I click this icon, three things happen. The first one is, as you can see, this turned into what we call a channel. It means that it's a frame that variable data flows into, and it says HP VDP. The second thing that happens is that actually behind the curtains, designer created a database for me. And this database is only a counter because each of these designs is numbered. It means that each design can be recreatable. You don't need to save the images. You can simply recreate them. And you can create campaigns out of it because, for example, Coca-Cola actually printed these numbers on the bottle. So if you went to a store, you saw this unique bottle that you liked, you bought it, and then they allowed you to go home, type the number that is printed on the bottle, get the design that you have on the bottle on your screen, and you can order it on merchandise like t-shirt, tote bag, doesn't really matter, whatever comes to mind. And the third thing that happens is that you can see that HP Mosaic is using a template. And this template actually tells Mosaic how much zoom to do, which PDF seed files to use, which designs, if you allow it to rotate, etc. Now, if I click on preview here, this is basically done. So HP SmartStream Designer will call Mosaic and will bring back a unique image. And I can do this forever. I can go and browse here and get every time a different seed file. Now, when you install SmartStream Designer, we actually give you for free 3 seed files. These are the 3 seed files. And every time I generate, you can see that it selects randomly one of these. We'll select an assortment according to the parameters and bring back a unique image. Now, because I'm within Illustrator, I can do everything that Illustrator allows me to do, like put a mask on it. And so in a matter of 2 clicks, I already have infinite number of these vans over here. I simply have a mask with transparent areas and what I allow to see beneath it, and I can play with this forever. Now you may say, these are nice seed files, but I want to use my own. How is it done? So I'll show you this as well. I exit the preview. And here I have a channel. You remember I clicked the mosaic icon, I have a channel. So I'll go to my channel. This is my channel, I'll select it. And I can say, okay, I want this channel to, I want to change the parameters for this channel. So this is, as of course, demo template file. I'll duplicate this. I'll give it a name. Sorry, it opened in the second screen. I'll give it a name. I'll call it Virtual Safari. And now I can edit it. Once I open this window, again, it opened another window, another screen, I can see the different seed patterns, as you can see here, right? I have 3 tabs, and each of them with different parameters. For example, scaling, I have the position, the transposition, I have rotation, I have even shuffle spot colors, which means that I can, if this seed file is built with spot colors, I can even shuffle them and change them. Now, I want to change it to my own PDF files. So I'll go to a folder where I have my seed files, and I can simply drag them to the UI. Once I do that, Mosaic will tell me I'm going to replace the seed files that you have over here. I'll say, okay, yes, please. And now instead of these 3, I have these 5. Once I click OK on this, it will load, and you can see the different parameters. Again, you can change each of them. Let's say I want all of them to be in the center. So I'll say center, and I can go here and say, please keep the position and apply it to all the seed files. Now all of them will have center. I'll click OK on this, and now once I preview this, instead of getting an image out of these 3 predefined seed files, I'll get a seed file out of these 5. Now I selected these 5 seed files for a reason, because it can be a regular Illustrator vectorized design that you create. It can be textual. It can be Shutterstock or any stock photo that you can buy. And it can also be an image, a bitmap image that you can trace in Illustrator and use as a vectorized seed file. So as you can see, this seed file is being derived from this. And again, every time that I'll generate this, I'll get a unique assortment. Now, I won't go into all the differences that we have in SmartStream Designer. I will only say that you can also insert a database here and make this even a little harder or even a little more complex. So if I take a database such as this one, I have a counter which tells me the mosaic number. I have the name of a band. I have the picture of a band, and I have a barcode or a URL that goes to a barcode. And once I put this in SmartStream Designer, I can create something like this. So every time that I'll preview this, I will get this unique assortment. I will have, of course, the mosaic in the background. 1 second, let it load. I have the mosaic in the background. I have an image of the band. I have collage, which is the elements that just shifting around here. I have a barcode that goes to the Metallica.com website. And I also have a text which says, I love my Metallica tour van. And every time that I'll do this, it will take the data from the database, will generate a new mosaic for me, a new collage for me, a new barcode for me, and I can do this forever. Now, once my design is ready, I can then pack it as an HPD. As I said earlier, it's like a zip file that Composer can read. And then I simply take this database and HPD file, and I can put it in PrintOS app in Focus Switch, and Eran will take it from here and show you how this is done. Now, one last thing, if you want to pack this, you simply go to the, 1 second, I'll go back to edit mode. I can go here and click on pack and submit. Once I do that, it wants to save my file. I'll save it. Okay. And now I can, okay, let's save it on the desktop. Okay, it's packing all the assets. So once I do that, it's packing all the seed files that I used for this mosaic, this template. It will use the one row from the database. It will also pack the fonts if they're applicable, and you can send this to PrintOS Composer. So Eran, from this point onwards, the demo is yours. And please, if you have questions, feel free to ask, contact us. If you have, something that you want to share, we'd love to hear from you. Thank you very much.
All right, Eran, we can see your screen. You're good to go. But we cannot hear you. So let's turn on your microphone. There we go. It's all yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Guy. So as Guy explained, using the designer in InDesign or Illustrator, you're creating a VDP template, a graphic template with placeholders for variable data to get in. Potentially, you can actually bring a database with all of your records, all your VDP information, and create PDFs out of Illustrator and InDesign. The problem is that it consumes a lot of resources from your computer. Might be that your computer is not suitable for such heavy processing. And it's while you create the PDF, you cannot use the Illustrator or the InDesign for doing other designs at the same time. And the processing itself may take a very long time if you want to do hundreds or thousands or even millions of records in a PDF. For that reason, we develop a set of servers, and one type of the service is running in the cloud. and the server enables you to do the VDP processing. So it receives your graphic template, it receives a data file with all the records, and it is doing the binding and inject the variable data into the template and create into the placeholder where the VDP component should be, and it create the PDF for you. All the resources are managed in the cloud, in a server in the cloud, and you don't actually need to give any resources for the processing itself. So if you install the PrintOS Composer application, this is the kind of flow that you need to create. At the entrance, you put different types of input, different types of works that you would like to process. It goes into the Composer app, and from there, the PDF, the ready PDF with all the data bind inside, goes to the output, either success, warning, or error, accordingly. So what happens is that, again, your input files goes into the Composer app. It sends them to the cloud, do the processing in the cloud, and once the PDF is ready, download it and send it to through the connectors to the output folders. To get more information and documentation and a sample flow that you can download and import into Switch, you can go to the nFocus App Store and get it from there. There is documentation, full documentation of everything I will speak about today and beyond, including the sample flow that you can just import, and very simple to do. In order to actually use the HP PrintOS Composer, and what you will need is to bind it or connect it to your own account in HP PrintOS. PrintOS is a set of applications that we supply to our customers, and you can create an account in there once you have HP's machines. Once you have an account in PrintOS, you can connect the Switch app, the Composer Switch app, to your own account in the cloud. The way to do that is going to the marketplace in PrintOS. This is the URL. You go inside the marketplace there is a tab there to make a connector. You create a connector of a role called Composer SDK. You will see that it creates a key and a secret for you. And once it's doing that, you need to copy the key and secret, configure your Composer, your Switch app with these keys and secret. And once you did that, your processing is connected to your own account in the cloud. Okay. How to actually do that? It's very simple. Let's see it in the application itself. So this is a demonstration for a full flow. We have here input folder, the output folder. If I click on the application itself, all you need to do is to copy the key and the secret you've generated from the connector into the app configuration here, in the app setting here, and that's it. You're ready to go. There is no need. This is the minimum that you need to define, and you can actually use the application. Okay. So as I explained, and this is an important point to make, the flexibility is given by different input folders. Okay, so you have the composer as one component here, and if you have different types of works that you want to do, like photo albums, wine labels, the flexibility is given by putting many input folders as part of your flow. You can, of course, create multiple flows and have each one dedicated for different type of jobs. In my example, I'm showing simple input folders and simple output folders, but of course it can be combined with a much more complex flows and be just one component out of a wider flow. The flexibility of the different types of input folders is given by is enabled by private data. So what you need to do for each one and one, you configure the specific things that you need for each one of your folder by setting job private data. In this here I'm showing that you need to define your data delimiter. So as we said, we have as input a template, a graphic template, and a data file. The data file that contain all the VDP records that you want to use. The VDP record can be in format of CSV. Okay, and the CSV can be either comma delimiter or semicolon delimiter, and it can be a TXT in with a tab delimiter between the different columns. We will see an example in a moment. And in order for, and each input folder is dedicated for certain type of data format. Okay, so you need to define here the data format that you're receiving. The definition is done by defining the ASCII code of the delimiter, either TXT with the tab delimiter, which is ASCII of 9, a CSV can be ASCII of 44, or a semicolon 59. Okay. This is an example of a data file. You can see it here. You have 3 columns here. Okay. The first one is just a counter, 1, 2, 3, 4, a name. Okay. The next one is a picture. So you actually have pictures here, names of picture files, Foo Fighter, Metallica, etc., etc. Okay. Each one is an image. And if I want to do processing that includes images, I need to supply my data file. This is a data file, the graphic template, okay? And I need to supply all the images. Let's say that I'm doing production and every day I get different database with different images. So I need every day different images to give to the processing, and this is given by a zip file. So I'm zipping all my images, okay, in a zip file, and this is part of the input. Now in this case, I need to give all of these files, and by the way, there is I can also give a template for imposition. This is in format of IMPP, format that describe imposition. I can give all the 4 as an input under one folder. In this case, the folder here is my job, okay, and give it to processing. Let's see an example. Okay. So this is the example here. Let's activate the flow. Okay. And in here, this is demo 1. You can see that this is a folder that contain all the input files that I want to use. The TXT file that contain all my variable data, including pointers to images. And my images are all packed inside a zip file. And this is my zip file with all the images inside. So the data points to files, to images inside the zip file. This is the imposition that I want to have. And HPD is actually the graphic template for the VDP. And all I need to do is just take the folder and use that as input job, and it will start to process it, and eventually we'll take it to the output. Now, I don't want to wait. It takes a minute or two. Let's see an example of the output. And this is the output ready PDF with all the variable data embedded inside. So we have changing images here. We have text, we have barcodes, and of course we have a mosaic. And here in the background, you can also see collage, which is random elements changing at each page. Okay, each page is different image, different pattern at the background, different pattern of mosaic. Each page is different. Okay, let's go to the next page. Another thing that might happen is that you have a constant VDP template, a constant graphic template. You have constant imposition, but the things that change is just the data and the images. And every day you get from your customer different database, different images to produce. In that case, you would like to have an input folder that the templates are fixed in it. Okay, so it's always the same graphic template. It's also always the same imposition, but the only inputs is the data file and the images that needs to be different every processing that you make, every PDF that you make. In order to do that, you would go to, just a moment. You would go to the private data. As we said, everything is configured through the private data. I would define that the type of data that I want is tab delimiter. I would define that I would like to skip the first line, which is the header of my data. And here I can fix the and point to a graphic template that sits in my disk. Okay, on my disk. And here the imposition template, I'm pointing to a fixed temp imposition template. So every job that comes in here will use the same graphic template, the same imposition. In that case, my folder that I'm giving as a job would contain only the TXT, only the records data and the images. Okay, and I can just, let's activate the flow, I can just take it and drop it here. And every time I can drop, oops, what happened? I think that I took, yeah, okay, fixed templates. Here it is. So every time I just need to drop in there folder with different TXT and different zip file, and that's it. It would process it and use the fixed templates. Okay. Another option is that I have everything fixed except of my data file. So I know that it's always the same graphic template, VDP graphic template, same HPD. It's always the same imposition. It's always the same images. And the only thing that change is just the data. Every day I'm getting different data to produce PDF from different records. In that case, my job can be simply the text, the TXT file, the data file. So in this case, I can just, let's see the configuration first. So I have everything fixed. I have the VDP, the imposition template, and the asset library with all the images always fixed as configuration of the input folder. And all I need to do every time I want to go to production with different variable data is just taking my data file and drop it as input job, and the system will take it and will start processing it. Okay, next. It's important to mention about caching. So as I said earlier, all the input files are being as first step are being uploaded to the cloud, being processed at the cloud, and at the end downloaded the result PDF is downloaded to the output folder. The system is smart. It has a caching mechanism. So if every day you are using the same graphic template or the same images over and over, the system identifies that the files are already uploaded and it doesn't have to upload them again. It can reuse the files already uploaded. So it saves a lot of time when you have a big production that repeats itself over and over. The files are kept in the cloud for a week. So if you're using some files and more than a week passed, they will not be there any longer. Next time you will try to use the same files, it will need to upload them again. But if you are using the same files less than a week from the first time you use them, it recognizes that they already in there and it doesn't need to upload them again. The lifespan in that case will refresh and will end a week from the second time you used it. Okay. The system identified that file is the same as another one that you already used by a checksum MD5 algorithm, which means it identify that the content is the same. It's not by the file name. If you change the file name, it still can identify that the same file is in the cloud. Okay. Another thing to mention is parallel processing. So we can process up to 3 PDFs in parallel. If you have more than that, the other PDF will wait in a queue in switch. They will just wait for their turn. Okay. So another type of parallel processing that we have, if you have a very big processing to make, meaning millions of records, you can tell the system to do that in chunks. So what you're doing is adding another parameter at the private data, number of chunks to process. So let's say I have 10,000 records, and by saying that number of chunks is 5, okay, it divided it by 5. So every chunk will be only 2,000 records. Okay, and in that case, what happens is in the cloud, we are splitting the data. We are making actually 5 different PDFs, and at the end of processing, we merge them back to one PDF. So the result is as if you never chunked it. However, doing it in chunks at the cloud enables actually faster processing, because at any given moment, we process 3 chunks in parallel. Okay, so cutting them to chunks actually helps you to do faster processing as we process chunks in parallel. Another option, it might be that your PDFs is huge, too big to be to go through RIP, too big to maintain. The size may get to many gigas, and in that case, you can do something a little different. Instead of having the PDF, the small chunks, merge back into a single PDF, you can ask that your result will be a zip file. In that case, you will get a zip file with the 5 chunks zipped inside. So now what you can do is to send it to RIP, and then to printing, and while you print, do the ripping of the next one, etc., etc. So you can build yourself a pipeline of the smaller PDFs. A little bit about progress and troubleshooting. So if you'll go to PrintOS, there is actually an application inside that is called Composer, and if you click on it, it will get you into the Composer application, web application at PrintOS. One of the tabs there, you will see it's SDK management. If you go to SDK management, you can see inside all of the PDFs that are currently in process, and you will see here their progress, what is their status. This drop down, you can go and see different assets, like which data files are currently in the cloud, which templates are currently in the cloud, what is their expiration date, etc., etc. So this is one of the tools that can give you information about what's going on at any given point in time. Another place that you can see information about your processing is of course, at the switch log. Okay, in this URL, this is the default. It could be different for each one according to the configuration. And in here, you can see outputs from the Composer application. You can see here, for example, this tour van data is currently uploading. So at this point, it uploads one of the resources. Here I can see that the IMPP is currently in preparation. And once it makes the PDF, you can see actually the percentage of the processing and figure out more or less when it's going to end. Another place that you can see do troubleshooting from is from the output folders. So if I'll go here, demo one, if there are some kind of warnings, it will send it to the warning. And if you will point to the warning log, you will get here a status JSON. So if you double click on the status JSON, you can see a report that is generated by the cloud, and you can see here if there are any issues. For example, here we have a warning message saying that there is a file that cannot be located. For example, in my data file, I wrote some name of an image file, myimage.png. But this image, I forgot to pack it as a resource in the asset zip file, and therefore the system cannot find it, so it gives me a warning. Okay, once that happens, automatically the jobs go to the warning output. Okay, so this is the PDF that it outputs, and here in the warning, I can see that there is a warning. I can also get a full report. Okay, so actually I didn't forget one, I forget several images to pack in the zip file, and therefore I get several warning on each one of them, and I can identify which file is missing. That's it.
All righty.
I forgot one thing, if I can add. Okay.
All right,
Sorry
go right
about
ahead. No
Yeah.
problem.
Okay. One more thing. That's the you to also do integration with other tools, other software tools. So if you have one, you can always create a JSON file. Showed you that the input can be a folder with several files inside. It can be a single file like the data file, and it can also be a JSON file. So many software like to work with JSON files, and this is an example of such. And you can write your own code, create a JSON file, put it in the input, and it will point to the different input files, and it will just do the processing as well. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Eran. That was very good. Nice presentation. And Guy, are you back online? Let's see here. Guy, are you there too? Get everyone all nice and hooked up here so we can answer some questions.
Sure.
Let me go ahead and we'll start off with the first one here. And well, before we do that, let me say if you got a question, audience, if you got a question, please type it in the question dialog box, and we'll get to that right away. One of the first questions that came up though was, sort of what's the advantages of cloud processing? Can you maybe cover that for everyone?
Yeah. So once you're doing the processing in the cloud, first of all, it doesn't consume resources, computing resources from your own computer. Okay. This is a heavy processing. Not sure that you have a computer that matched the requirements, the hardware requirements that needed in order to create such PDFs. And once you're using the cloud service, it means that you don't have to purchase a special computer, a special server, and maintain it in your own facility. This is one. Second, it's available from anywhere. I can sit at home, I can connect this flow, and it goes and do the processing on the cloud. So especially in these days, you can do it from everywhere. These are the main things.
Great. All right. And does the tool that you use, the HP Composer, does that actually create a PDF VT file?
Guy, do you know? Can you answer?
Yes. All of our PDF that has database are VT. Yes.
All right, great. Here's a question here. What is the benefit of this as a cloud tool versus a DFE based? If a client already has a scaled server DFE, can they run it locally? If a client already has a scaled server DFE, can they run it locally? Does that make sense, guys? I'm kind of reading that one on
So
the fly and trying to interpret it, so I'm hoping I'm interpreting that correct.
yeah, so HPDFE has a smaller version of composition. It uses only one instance, so I explained that in the cloud you get 3 instances, parallel instances, and in special cases, special deals, we can extend it to more, so you can get even faster processing. So on the cloud, it's can be a faster processing. Another thing is on the cloud, we have 2 modes. We have a rich mode and a fast mode. The rich mode is actually internally using InDesign server. So it can get you a richer graphic designs, which currently don't exist in DFE.
All right. What's the pricing model of the application and the solution?
So the application itself is given for free through the Enfocus App Store. The processing of the number of records is limited by the PrintOS itself. So PrintOS per account gives up to 10,000 records per month for every customer. You will have to purchase a higher level of package if you want to do more than that. We have a package of 100,000, 500,000, and 10 million records. Right now, due to the Corona days, we are giving up to 10 million records to all of our customers. So automatically it is given to everyone. This is a good opportunity to try and use the system.
Cool. And I guess another good part of that system is Enfocus's own switch core engine, which is also part of that.
Of course.
That's nice.
My assumption is that this audience has an focused switch. So yeah, this is
Yeah,
also
that's
something.
probably very true. That's probably very true. Also, too, tell me a little bit about security. Sort of, what's any security concerns since this is a cloud solution?
So our system is a secured system. Everything, all the data is secured per account. Different account cannot get to data of other accounts. Of course, there is no way for anyone to get to your own file. Only you in your account can get to the file that you own. The system is secured, yes.
But
Okay.
more than that, if you want to, if you're interested about security, we also have documents about the cloud security, which I can share. But if you have access to PrintOS, you can find them on Knowledge Zone as well.
All right. And obviously, everyone has their own account. Everyone's 100%, segregated from other accounts, that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
So there's no cross-pollination or anything like that.
exactly. That's the idea. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Great. And again, their question kind of goes back to the pricing question the customer is asking. If I run a job with hundreds of thousands of records, what is the potential file size of what would be transferred from the cloud? Can it flow directly to the DFE? That's probably a tough question to answer, huh? Depends on the
Yeah.
file, I guess.
Yeah, so yeah, of course. So it's depend on your graphic design. It depends on how many records you're doing. It's very much depend. 100,000 records can be as relatively small because all your variable data is a simple text or barcode. It can be very big if you have high resolution images. It's very much depend. Yes, you can make these folders here at the output. You can connect it to hot folder of DFE, and that's how you can actually just have the outputs flows automatically to DFE as an input for DFE. DFE hot folders, of course.
All right, cool.
One
And
more thing. One more
yep.
thing, if the data is too big, if the PDF is too large, you can batch it. It means you can create batches. For example, you have 100,000 and all of them is mosaic and it's really heavy. Just create like batches of 25,000 and then you get four PDFs to the DFE and then you can also combine them via JDF on the DFE.
All right, cool. Well, this is rounding us up toward the end of the presentation, and I just launched a poll out there just so that we can get a little idea about the audience and where their interest lies. So if you want to answer that poll, I'm going to have to stop that here in just a second. So go ahead and fill that out. And one other quick question that came in is what version of Switch is needed to make all this run? Maybe you could cover that real quick.
Yeah, so we developed and certified it on Switch 18 and above.
All right, Switch 18 and above. Awesome.
Okay.
Hopefully everyone can see my screen at this point. And any parting thoughts there, guys?
Just one thing that I want to emphasize that we did not discuss here because this was only the PrintOS app, PrintOS Composer app. But we do have configurators for HP SmartStream Designer as well that can be used in Focus Switch. And you can create an end-to-end workflow. You can create your HPDs via the HP SmartStream Designer configurators and then run them in the Composer app. So this is an end-to-end workflow from beginning to end.
All right, great. Well, guys, thank you very much today for your presentation. It was really informative and detailed, but it was great. The audience really liked it. There was quite a few positive comments that went on in the background, which was awesome. Always good to see. For those of you who are still with us next week in the Safari, we have some really great topics coming up. We're going to have rethink your print sourcing. followed by the are you taking full advantage of the App Store for Switch? And then we'll wrap it up with a presentation from the infamous John Callahan, and he's going to show you a thing called virtual prepress, which is something you don't want to miss. So again, Aran and Guy, thank you very much for your presentation today. It was very much appreciated, and thank you for joining us here at the In Focus Virtual Safari.
Thanks for hosting us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
All right. Take care, guys. Bye-bye,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye-bye.